as you guys are starting to get your designs in Photoshop or Illustrator, there are some things you need to know about adding text. So I'm going to specifically talk about Photoshop. What we're doing right here, first of all, you have a text tool, that's the T. You have a bunch of possibilities with that. Really, the two I want you to be most concerned with are these two options, the horizontal type tool and the vertical type tool. Horizontal will give you normal typing, like in Microsoft Word, where you're typing something and it just goes in rows from the top to the bottom, etc. Vertical type tool will allow you to go ahead and maybe put this in A. If your text doesn't show up, here's a lot of things that you need to do to check. My text did not show up. It's because my font color is white. So if I change that to black, I can now start and I can put in the A. At other times it won't show up because my font is too big. So if I made something like a 500 point font, I just type the letter B, it is gone. So it looks like something's wrong, the whole text box is wrong. Suddenly I don't know how to use Photoshop at all, and it's a tragedy. Now I hate this. It's not a tragedy. You just have to look at and make sure everything is logical and making sense. Okay? So again, you want to make sure that you're in a good place for your font size. Now, of course, it doesn't fit. I would then select all by dragging in or Control A. And then I can go ahead and downsize it appropriately. That I can move. Now don't forget, you can also free transform, which is over here in Edit, or it's also Control T. That's a shortcut you guys probably want to know. But if I free transform text, it's a lot easier than trying to figure out what font size will fit perfectly, because now all I have to do is actually drag this to be the height that I want it. And then I press the Enter key, and it's lovely. Now, if I click back on here, I can see now it would have been a 47.04 font. It would have taken me a really long time to type in those numbers to find an exact one that fit this. So again, Control T or Edit Free Transform is really helpful. So that's a little bit about the vertical type tool. The horizontal type tool, everything same as. You can see that. You can highlight it. You can make it bigger. You can also, again, click off of it. Don't forget, that's that one. I can Control T. I can make that bigger. I can also, without holding the Shift key, I can also drag that. I can make it quite tall or quite short and stubby depending on what it is I need to gain from that. Okay, so that's that next one that I want you to be familiar with. Now, as you get into a normal text box, that's a normal text box. When you have this activated and you right click, you can choose something called Warp Text. And Warp Text will allow you to change the sort of the style that the text will appear. This would be an arc. And again, I can change it. I can just do a little bit of a bend or a lot of bend and then resize it so it actually fits on my sheet, etc. I can also bend in the opposite direction by moving it over towards the left-hand side. So we can go ahead and kind of try a bunch of different things. There's a distortion that you can add to it, like this would be a cute little announcement, a way to make it look like it's an announcement, and also a vertical distortion. So you've got a lot of possibilities with each of these. So that's just the arc. If you take a look, you've got arc lower, and you can see it just bows the bottom of that particular image, or I'm sorry, text. Arc upper, double arc, there's a bulge. A bulge will work the best if it's got two lines of text. So you may not see too much until you see how it has two lines sort of in the middle? It's an indicator that having multiple lines is what's going to give you the fullest effect on there. You've got the flag wave. You've got the regular wave. You've got a fish. Obviously not a really good option for most text because it's hard to read. A rise. Fisheye, inflate, squeeze, twist. You've got all these possibilities that you can test out. Okay, so like that one could be really cool. I've never really used squeeze too much. That's at its squeeziest. I don't know. Is that what you would call it? Its most squeezed form. And then this would be sort of at its its bloated form. Okay, so that's what you need to know about using warp to text. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep that one. I'm going to go ahead and move that one up out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and show you one more way to put text. And if I go to, let me go ahead to Google and type in paintbrush. No, I lied. Teapot. Alright, so let's pretend I did this beautiful, oops, I'm not shopping, sorry guys. Let's pretend I did this beautiful image for a teapot. Of course I'm not, okay, let's just pretend. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Oh, forgot him. Alright. And then I'm just going to make it black just so it matches. You don't get confused thinking you can now add color. Let's say I want my image, let's say I want my text to look like it's spilling out of that teapot. It's coming here off the side. Notice I do have a black stripe there. That's because that was off the page when I deleted, so it missed it. I would just need to re-delete that. So let's say I want to put my text in a pathway coming from the teapot. I can take with my pen tool, so you've got a pen tool right here, a freeform pen tool I'm going to use. I can go ahead and I can draw a pathway. Looks like it's flowing. I could come to the T. When I go back to my text tool, I go onto the path, and you're going to see as it crosses, the icon changes a little bit. So look, pay attention. There is the regular text. When it gets close to the path, I've got that. Okay? Now, because this is on center justification, I may actually want to start it in the middle. I'm going to put this on, I'm going to actually put it on right justification because I want to make sure it starts from here. Arts Extravaganza. Now you can see in this case, my fonts kind of got a little bit funky. They kind of moved over a little bit. I can work with that if I go to my character palette. That was window character. The character is what will allow you to change the spacing in between your letters. So this is a +5, this is a +25, this is changing it from line to line. So you've got a lot of options. In this case, I may find that I don't like this one at all, or I may have to put a space, manually space, in between some of those items in order to make it look exactly how I want it to look. So again, this is a little bit of an extreme. They did kind of tumble over a little bit more than what would be normally on a pen path. But just know it just depends on the type of path, the curve to it, and how smooth it is. So those are different ways that you guys can add text into your work. The very last thing I wanted to show you is just a little bit with effect. And this one is on the side. Let me see where this one is. It's not there. This one on top. Okay, so I'm back on that one, the one that's blinking on and off. What I can do is I can actually double click here, and I can do a couple of things. First of all, we can't put a gradient in because gradients are not allowed. But if you look into some of these, you may find a nice black and white pattern, especially if you blow out to over there. We might be able to find some cool patterns or textures to fill in, which would give a really nice appearance. You could even put an outer stroke on it. Maybe instead of a pattern, maybe I want to go ahead and do a color overlay, and I'm going to make it white. I want white lettering, and I want a black outer stroke, like that. I can give a different kind of attention rather than just having black letters on a white surface. Okay? So I've got all those possibilities as you guys are moving. Just explore. Again, explore your effects. Double click on the blue in your layer panel. Double click on the blue, and you're going to get this layer style. You can also find it right here under layer style at the top. You got to watch out. Drop shadow will work. Let me take this one off. Drop shadow will work, but only if you keep it at a 100% opacity so that it stays black. It has to stay black, because if it doesn't stay black, and I actually can't even change the spread of it. It's got to stay solid so it doesn't get that gray to it. So that could be an example of putting a drop shadow. If I go back to drop shadow, I can also change the direction of it and have it kind of go in a different direction. Inner shadow will not work very well. Outer glow will not work well because that's a fuzzy. That'll give you gray. Same with inner. Bevel and emboss, it gives you some gray, so watch out for it. But again, color overlay, which would be how I added the white, or I could just change the font color to white. And a nice outer stroke is a really nice way to actually add some variety. Finally, please, 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 make sure that you realize if you only click on the check mark here, you are not going to change the menu in the center. You have to actually click on the word so that the menu changes here for all of your possible options. So make sure that you're doing that and exploring what that menu has to, like this one, for the inner stroke, awful. Center, awful. It has to be outside for that big. Just kind of keep an eye on it and take a look. And that is it. Just do a good job and continue on with that text. Make sure to spell everything correctly. And then don't forget the other line of text, CHSD 218 Education Foundation.